do we have here?
I got a picture of the Gemini launch space program. It's got a whole bunch of autographs from a lot of the astronauts. Buzz Aldrin's on it right here.
You got Buzz Lightyear on there?
Coming to the pawn shop today to try and sell my autographed picture of the Gemini launch. I want to sell it today because I feel like it could be on display someplace where somebody might enjoy it. I'm looking to get more than $1,000, maybe $2, I don't know.
Where did you get that?
I was going through my grandfather's stuff. He was a fighter pilot for the United States Air Force. I fly for the Air Force now. Figured might bring it down here, see what you guys think.
Flying this kind of stuff is like the holy grail for you guys, right?
Holy grail.
Yeah,
so, I mean, this is like the peak of the peak, you know, the mountaintop.
Back in the 60s, NASA was all about trying to get to the moon, and the Gemini program really helped them pave the way. It was basically a bunch of space and test flights designed to help develop equipment for the Apollo missions, which got us to the moon. I mean, man, you got a lot of signatures on here. I mean, you got Buzz Aldrin, I know who he is, Grissom.
A lot of these guys were very prominent in taking part in the actual launch of the Gemini itself.
And you got any paperwork verifying any of these signatures?
I don't, but I have no reason to believe that they're fakes. I mean, my grandpa wouldn't have anything in his basement that he made up, you know? And I mean, you can tell how each signature is individualized. They're authentic.
NASA's known for having astronauts sign stuff for senators and other big shots around the country. But everything I've seen before hasn't had nearly this much signatures on it. We've had a lot of success with NASA stuff in the past, but my only concern is a lot of these guys I've never heard of. Well, what'd you want to do with it?
It's been sitting in the basement collecting dust. I wouldn't mind selling it.
You got a lot there.
Right.
I know Buzz Aldrin. I have no idea who Wally Schirra is.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, let me call a buddy of mine down. He's with Authentic Autographs Unlimited, and he'll be able to tell us about all these guys.
Absolutely.
All right, man, let me give him a call.
Okay. I feel great about an expert coming in to check out the picture, find out exactly the history, and find out the worth of the item.
Hey, how are you guys doing? I'm Drew with Authentic Autographs Unlimited. I'm a forensic document examiner. Is this that Gemini piece you were talking about?
Yes, it is. I know Buzz Aldrin, Grissom, but that's all I see on there that I know.
Right. You failed to notice probably the most important signature, if it's authentic. First man who walked on the moon, Neil Armstrong.
I didn't even notice that.
This is authentic. That would be the #1, the most valuable signature, definitely.
That's why we call you in, man. Holy shit, Neil Armstrong, how did I miss that? This thing went from being cool to really cool.
Now, this is really important because we have Edward White up at the top and Gus Grissom. Those were Apollo 1 astronauts, and they were the ones who were killed in the fire.
Gus Grissom was the second American to go into space, so I can't imagine there'd be too many items signed by both Grissom and Ed White out there. Their lives were tragically cut short when Apollo 1 had a fire during the test mission.
Now, the thing that's very important when you're dealing with astronaut signatures is auto pens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a machine that does them. Now, you can totally see the pressure of all the signatures are different. You've got feathered endings and things like that. Okay, these are definitely not auto pens. Okay,
Right.
So now we have to move on to the next stage to find out if they're authentic or not. Here we go with Neil Armstrong. Well, you can see it's kind of faint, but it's definitely there. Charles Conrad, handwriting looks right. He's another moonwalker. We have James Lovell, Apollo 13 from the movie. Tom Hanks played him.
So, Drew, what do you think?
Well, you know, you put all the evidence together. We know it's not auto pens. All the capital letters, the speed, the consistency, all together. This thing is absolutely real.
Nice.
Absolutely real.
I knew it was.
So, you got any idea of what it could be worth?
Well, this is a very rare type of piece because it's got so many signatures on it. I would say actually retail, $4,000 or $5,000.
Wow.
Absolutely worth it.
That's impressive.
Hey, appreciate you coming down.
All right, guys.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
You betcha. We'll see you guys again.
Thanks for looking
Take
at
care.
it.
So what were you looking to do with it, man? You want to sell it, pawn it?
Well, yeah, let's go ahead and sell it. I mean, you said $4,000 or $5,000.
You know, $4,000 or $5,000, that's a real high number in a real high-end location. I'd like to offer you somewhere around $1,500 for it.
What do you say about $3,000?
I'll bump it up to $2,000 if it helps you out, man.
$2,500?
Unfortunately, man, $2,000 is going to be max for me.
I guess I'll go ahead and take $2,000.
All right, my man, chum here, we'll write you up.
Thanks. I'm happy with $2,000, but at the same time, after hearing the value of it, I wish I could have gotten more, but I'm fairly happy with $2,000. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Have a few packs of seeds here that were flown on the LDEF satellite.
Okay. They're space seeds.
Sweet.
LDEF. Do you know what that stood for?
Long Duration Exposure Facility.
Oh, okay. All right, so...
You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I came to the pawn shop in order to try to sell my space seeds. The space seeds were flown on the LDEF satellite, and they distribute them to high schools across the country. I'd like to get about $120 for the whole lot. It was put up in 1984 on the Challenger and was supposed to stay up for 6 months.
Return to Earth, January 20th, 1990, on Space Shuttle Columbia.
Because of the Challenger mishap, it stayed in space for 6 years.
NASA has been sending stuff into space for decades. They've tested the effects of weightlessness, extreme cold, radiation, and 1,000 other things. These seeds were sent to schools to basically get kids interested in science.
Were they trying to make a garden in outer space?
Yeah, they wanted to see what the effect of radiation was on the germination of the seeds. I had a bunch of students in an astronomy club, so we grew the seeds, we measured them, reported that back to NASA. They collected all that data and compiled the results for the tomato seeds.
Was there any way to measure how much radiation they got?
NASA did measure it. They said because it was up so long, it was much more than they ever expected, but there was no danger once they were grown.
So they weren't like giant tomatoes or something like that?
No, but they...
NASA did a lot of things that people thought were impossible. They put a man on the moon. It's part of the American dream, and collectors will shell out good money for anything connected to it. What do you want to do with these?
I'd like to sell them.
What were you looking to get out of them?
I was hoping to get about $20 a pack.
That's around what I can sell them for. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 60 bucks for them.
These are actually from outer space, so I was sort of hoping for 120.
Believe it or not, I've actually seen these before. There was a lot of seeds in space.
Yes, yes.
I'll give you 80 bucks.
Give me $100 and that'll be it.
Okay, I'll give you 100 bucks. All right, chump, you want to write these up?
Meet you over there.
Okay. I was hoping for 120, but I got 100 for them, and I'm really happy with that.
What do we got here?
I'm bringing the Word of God to Sin City in the form of a lunar Bible.
So you're saying you have one of the microfiche Bibles that went to the moon?
I do. It's something I think you'll find was out of this world, but now it's back in this world.
It's a Bible, which is a book, but it's microfiche. It's sort of weird.
I'm coming to the shop today to sell a lunar Bible. It's 1,245 pages on a single piece of celluloid. I'd like to sell the Bible because it really should be on public display so that the public can see what a lunar Bible actually looks like.
Really interesting. Where did you get it?
It's given to me approximately 44 and a half years ago by Reverend John Maxwell Stout, who was the founder of the Apollo Prayer League. I had written about the Apollo Prayer League in 1969, and as a reporter, it was given to me.
Some of them actually went and landed on the moon, and the other ones were in the Kitty Hawk, right?
Kitty Hawk was the command module, and Antares was the lunar module.
Okay.
And astronaut Ed Mitchell had 100 in his personal preference kit, but there were a total of 512. This one did not go to the surface of the moon, but did go into space.
A lunar Bible is really cool, but the problem is no one really knows how many there were up there. If this thing is legitimate, I am definitely interested. I always love to make money, but you're gonna have to do a lot of proving and show me a lot of facts. So how much do you want for this?
Well, noting what they've been selling for in the last 3 or 4 years, I'm asking $70,000.
Whoa.
One sold in May of 2014 for $75,000.
I mean, do you have any, like, paperwork or?
I have an Apollo Prayer League newsletter, and inside you will find photos of Mitchell returning it to John Stout, but you'll also find my story.
But you don't have any paperwork or a letter from him saying he gave it to you?
I only have personal letters.
If you don't mind, I'd like to call up a friend of mine and get her down here. She's an expert on very expensive books, and I'm sure she would know about this, and she'd give us some info on it, and we'll go from there, because that's a lot of money, and it's a little odd. So give me a few minutes, okay?
You're welcome, Ed. Thank you. If I get the $70,000 for this lunar Bible, my wife and I are going to go to Europe, and we're going to spend a lot more than a week.
Well, there it is, the tiny, tiny, tiny book.
This is the book you brought me, huh?
I have no clue.
It's pretty complicated. Could I take a look at it?
Yes.
When the Apollo missions were started in order to put a man on the moon, there was a league put together. It was the Apollo Prayer League that actually created little microfiche that they could send with an astronaut to the moon. There it is. All right, so you've got all 1,245 pages here.
Correct.
It's the NCR, that's the National Cash Register Company. They're the ones who created this particular type of microform, Bible number 715, which is the edition that these were purchased from. They actually tried to get it to the moon 3 different times before they succeeded in getting a certain amount. It was Apollo 12, 13, and then finally successfully in 14. But normally, it's trimmed very, very close to the edges here. If you're talking about taking something to the moon and every single 1/10 of an ounce counts, you can see why they would trim that.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that some don't exist that were untrimmed, but logically, it makes sense that they would only be trimmed. And previous copies that have sold in the past have had serial numbers. This one does not have a serial number. And in some ways, that's too bad, because if it did, that would help a lot.
Is there even enough there for you even to morally sell it as such?
I find the idea of this really amazing. But if I don't have something definitive that I can latch onto,
I can only tell you thousands of newspapers carried my byline, and I wouldn't have written a story about something that I could not physically see.
unfortunately, I'm in a business where I can't just trust someone's word. There's a lot of ambiguity here that makes this much more of a risk than your average item. More risk for you as the dealer.
You can expect some liability if you sell this as a real thing.
Right. So do with that what you will. I've given you the opinion from a rare book dealer.
You are the best.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, take care. There's a lack of comps issue, plus there's an issue of exactly what is going on here. Until I feel completely sure, I don't feel comfortable stating what kind of value it would have.
Okay, 70,000. Your story is great, and it's probably true. I don't doubt that.
Thank you.
But I can't sell it to somebody and say, I'm pretty sure it's real. I am going to pass.
Okay.
Okay. I appreciate you bringing it in. It's really, really neat. It is the smallest book I have ever seen in my life.
And it's a good read, too.
It's pretty damn cool. Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for your consideration.
No problem. Bye-bye.
I'm really upset that we couldn't make a deal, but I would like to offer it to a university seminary for display so that the public can enjoy it.
What do we have here?
A piece of heat shield off the Apollo 11 space capsule.
Oh, you need some help with that, buddy?
Yeah.
That's seriously cool.
Yeah. We decided to come to the pawn shop today to sell our piece of the Apollo 11 space capsule. The least I'll take is $500,000 because it's from the Apollo mission.
11 years old, we need to start thinking about college expenses.
Where in the world did you get this?
My great-grandfather found it washed up on the beach in the Bahamas.
So how does that mean it came from the Apollo 11 capsule?
Well, it was the only thing at the time they were using this for.
And do you know why they need a heat shield?
It keeps the astronauts inside the capsule from burning up when the capsule re-enters the atmosphere.
Oh, you're good. It took the Apollo program years to come up with a fiberglass heat shield that could protect the astronauts. Have you had it checked out by anybody?
Some NASA experts said it looks like a piece of heat shield from one of the Apollo capsules.
I mean, if it's off Apollo 11, it's pretty cool. I mean, first time we landed on the moon, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Still makes my hair stand up.
The Apollo 11 moon landing is one of the greatest events in human history. A piece of it would be a huge find. But before I'm going to make an offer, I need the answers to a lot of questions. You go to the Aerospace Museum?
Yep.
It looks exactly the same size and shape as the missing part on the capsule.
So what's that mean?
It's most likely from the Apollo 11 capsule.
I have no idea. Let me have someone look at it, though, okay?
The Apollo space program represented the best of America, and to hold anything associated with it is really cool. If it's real, we got some serious money here.
Hey, Rick. The guys usually call me down here when they've got an interesting piece, they need a little bit more history on it, and I try to help them out. So what have we got today?
A piece of heat shield they claim is off the Apollo 11 capsule.
That's cool. I can remember when we stepped onto the moon. It was a hugely important thing, and it was the culmination of that space race that John F. Kennedy set us on when he said, we will go to the moon within the decade. And we made it. You know, the heat shield part of the space program was one of the most important parts. It's an aluminum honeycomb, and then this is a phenolic resin is what they call it. And this was literally individually injected in each part of the honeycomb.
Wow.
To be able to come up with a heat shield that could slow down the transmission of heat from tens of thousands of degrees on the outside to 70, 75 degrees on the inside. It was a technological marvel. So what are your concerns?
I just don't know. Is it off the Apollo 11 capsule?
It is, I believe, from the Apollo program. There are a number of rockets sent up to test various thicknesses of heat shields. One of the things about the heat shield on the command module is you'll never find holes like this in it. It had to be a solid piece.
When I was looking at it, this seems to fit on here.
No, I don't think so. The other thing is there's no charring. So this is a piece that didn't make it through the atmosphere. This is not off the command module. However, I do believe that it's off something within the Apollo program, probably one of the test rockets. I think you've got a really wonderful piece.
Well, thanks, Mark.
Very good to meet you. Thank you
Good
for
to
bringing
meet
it
you.
in. Even though, no, it's not off the command module, no, it's not off Apollo 11, it's still out of that program, so he ought to be proud that he's got it.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make you an offer.
That's really kind of disappointing news, but
It's still extremely cool, and I still love it.
Okay. All right. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
I was a little disappointed when he didn't make me an offer, but maybe I'll just keep it.